Are you looking to get involved in sim racing or to upgrade your existing?
Well, good evening everyone and welcome back to Crest Autosport TV. Welcome back to the World Touring Car Challenge. This is WTCC Gone Classic. This fifth round of the championship being hosted at the Interlagos circuit. Very much looking forward to tonight. It is quite the circuit we have in store for us today, ladies and gentlemen. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache circuit in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And we refer to it as Interlagos. Interlagos comes from the Portuguese or Brazilian interpretation of Portuguese term for in-between lakes, as there's two big lakes surrounding this circuit here on the, I believe it's the south part of Sao Paulo. 2.6 miles is the length of this track, or in other measurement terms 4.3 kilometers. It is a 15-turn circuit with only 5 corners to the right and a whopping 10 corners to the left. So the right side of these cars are going to take a kicking today, and that's cars I mentioned just then. These are the cars we're racing tonight. As I mentioned, it's the World Touring Car Challenge Gone Classic. This is the DTM 92 series from Race Room, featuring 4 of the 5 cars. The car that is missing is the Audi V8 DTM, because it's 4-wheel drive. We wanted an all rear-wheel drive grid, and we've got it here with the Ford Mustang GT DTM, the BMW M3 Sport Evolution, one of the most popular touring cars there's ever been, the Opel Omega 3000 Evo 500, which in its series in 1992 DTM, there was only one of those cars, and there's quite a few of them running in this field as drivers can run the same livery, and it's good to see that car still popular evermore today. And the final car of the field will be the Mercedes 190e Evo 2 DTM, which also is a very popular touring car. It's actually quite a big rally car, I seem to remember, in the late 80s, early 90s. They're the cars we're racing tonight. And what are we racing tonight in terms of schedule? Well, we have got qualifying coming up in about 7 minutes time, and that is of course going to set the grid for race 1. It's a 20-minute qualifying session. That will follow with a warm-up, and that will follow with the opening race of the night, a 20-minute, what you could call sprint race. Then we'll have a short interval between races 1 and 2, but when we come back with race 2, it will be a 30-minute race, where the grid of that race will be based on the results of race 1, but the top 10 will be reversed. So the driver that finishes first in race 1 will start 10th on the grid for race 2, and the driver that finishes 10th in race 1, you guessed it, will start pole position for race 2. We're in round 5 of the season, the penultimate round of the season. It's been a great season so far. Of just over a month we've stretched so far. We started off all them weeks ago at Donington Park in early February. Zolder was destination number 2, and number 3 was the Paul Ricard circuit in South France. We had a week off in between Paul Ricard and what was round 4, last week's round at Bathurst, and what a round it was indeed. A lot of drama here and there and everywhere, but it was Diego Quintal who came out on top in both races, like what he did in Paul Ricard. So heading into tonight, we could have a champion by the end of tonight. So do keep your eyes peeled on that. I will update you on the championship situation as much as possible tonight. But this is the penultimate round, as I mentioned. Next week is the last round of the championship, where we'll be heading to Germany. Of course, it's the home of DTM being Germany, and it is the Nordschleife. Where else would it be for the final round of the championship? albeit only one round left after tonight. But if you want to get involved in that final round of the championship, you can. It's a free to enter league. You can sign up at crestautosport.com and follow the relevant tabs and links, and you'll find the sign up form for this championship. And later on in this stream, after race 2, the final race of the night, we will be revealing the calendar for next season's World Touring Car Challenge. So definitely stay tuned to see that. I know you're all going to love it, and it is worth keeping an eye on for that later on in the stream. So we join the live action now here at Interlagos, and we're greeted with our championship leader, who is of course top of the standings in practice. And top of the standings in practice, top of the standings in qualifying was Quintal. Let's take a look at what happened last week and how that looks for the championship heading into tonight. So these were the results from last week. At Bathurst, round 4 of the championship, Diego Quintal took another maximum point round. Pole position, fastest laps, and race wins. It was a race win in race 1, stretching away by 6 seconds from Anthony Cheval Urso, who also had a good round, to be fair to him. He took 2nd place in race 1, and 3rd place to Ollie Jansen, and that was the same top 3 in race 2 as well. 4th place in race 1 went to Ian Deeney, finishing where he started, with Remo Schneider gaining 4 places to finish in 5th position. Fabio Andrade in 6th, with Rodrigo Portugal swapping places with him for 7th place. Paul Hans, the biggest gainer of the field as he missed out in qualifying, finished 8th place in the end, with Jeff Perkins finishing 9th, and rounding off the top 10 was Alex Ward, who took pole position for the next race. And in that next race there's a little bit of drama between Alex Ward and Diego Quintal. The two did come together on the big long straight at Bathurst, no idea what it's called, but yeah, the two came together. It did go to the stewards, as we kind of alluded to in the previous race on the broadcast, and the stewards decided a warning for both drivers, as they both could have prevented the incident. So it was quite an interesting turnout. But Diego Quintal keeps his position, as does Alex Ward, although Alex Ward couldn't get any worse than that. It did finish his race. But Diego Quintal taking the win and the fastest lap in that race, with Anthony Cheval Urso in 2nd, Ollie Jansen 3rd, as we mentioned for both of them. Elliot House having a great race, starting 11th and finishing 4th place by the end of that race. He really enjoyed himself, he told me after that race. Paul Hans finishing 5th, with Jeff Perkins in 6th, Fabio Andrade in 7th, and Remo Schneider looked like he was having a really good race at the start, but it just fell to pieces and he dropped to 8th place. Coleman Corkery gaining 3 places to finish 9th place, and Rodrigo Portugal rounding off the top 10. And was that due to the driver's standings heading into tonight? Well, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we could have a champion by the end of the night tonight. 109 points clear in the championship is Diego Quintal. He's been unstoppable in the last 2 rounds of the championship at Paul Ricard, and all maximum points results there, and it was the same at Bathurst last time out, and that has stretched his lead to 109 points. And of course, his rival for the first 2 rounds of the championship was without doubt Michael Clough, and he has not been able to attend recent rounds, unfortunately. So it has taken away a little bit of the pressure from Quintal, it's got to be said. But in that battle for 2nd place, it stretched out a little bit, as Ollie Jansen had a really good round last time out at Bathurst, and Paul Hans did not have a good round last time out. He drops to 14 points behind Ollie Jansen, but that battle for 2nd place is very much still on. Jeff Perkins holds 4th place at the moment, a little bit on his own in 4th place, but anything can happen. He could stretch up to 3rd, he could drop more positions. Who knows what will happen over the next 2 rounds. Fabio Andrade very much supporting his teammate this season of the E-Motion team, his teammate being Diego Quintal, but that's a 5th place he holds, but only 1 point ahead of Rodrigo Portugal in 6th place. So the battle is very much on between them two for 5th place. But also Michael Clough and Anthony Cheval Urso could have something to say about that 5th in the standings, as Anthony has been scoring a whole heap of points since he's entered the championship late and is rocketing up the order. He currently sits in 8th. Elliot House with an up and down season, it's got to be said. He's had some really good races, but he puts himself into the top 10, tied 9th place with Nikolai Mikov. And that's the championship standings heading into tonight, and we've only got less than a minute left in practice. And as you can see on the standings, well, there's a few new drivers tonight, which is very good. We'll we'll introduce them very shortly, but it is, as usual, it seems this season Diogo Quintal is top of the standings. And it is by half a second clear of Anthony Chavalerso, who has been getting quite comfortable in that second place, it's got to be said. But yeah, he'd definitely be eager to get better results. I think Anthony has picked up a win this season. Let me just check my little spreadsheet here, as that tells me no win yet this season for Anthony Chavalerso, so he'll be really eager to get that. And new drivers tonight before we head into qualifying. Carl Dubois is one of the new drivers tonight, and Andy Withers. We'll introduce them a bit better later on, but welcome to the series to them two, both driving Mercedes, which puts the Mercedes count up to 4 for this race, which is quite good. Levels it all out a little bit, because there's sometimes 3, but now there's currently there's 2 Opels in the field. There's 2 Mustangs in the field, and there's mostly BMWs. But the Mercedes count does go quite a bit up. So drivers heading out for qualifying. Steph Kramer's following Ollie Janssen out of the pits, this very narrow and twisty pit exit. Now, of course, they won't have to worry too much about the pit exit tonight, as these drivers tend not to go into the pits full tyres. In fact, I don't think we've seen a tactical pit stop in this championship. But I did mention last time out at Bathurst that this could be a pretty tricky track for the tyres, and we have seen this car here belonging to Diogo Quintal, the Opel, struggling when its tyres get worked considerably hard. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. I do think the BMW is going to be quite strong tonight, particularly in the longer race too, as the BMW is really light and well suited to the twisty tracks. So this might be its time to shine tonight. It did very, very well at Zolder and Donington Park, but since then we've had tracks that have been mostly based on top-end speed, and that isn't the BMW strong suit. Carl Dubois, as we mentioned, he is a new driver to this championship, but he's certainly not new to our other championships. He is currently the championship leader in our Tuesday night MX5 league, and he's heading into the final round, battling it out with Christian Orban. Well, that top spot is fairly close between them. They just did their 5th round at Macau, and they're heading into Daytona for round 6 next week. That's going to be very interesting indeed. Hopefully I can broadcast it. I'm going to look into that. I might not be able to, but I'll give it a go. So here we go. We've got a lap of this fine track, and we're going to do it with someone else for once. We're going to do it on board with Anthony Chavalerso. So here we go. This is the Interlagos circuit, not traditionally a DTM circuit. Braking right after the 100-meter board, getting into the apex quite early, missing the curb a little bit and getting a bit sideways, heading into turn 1, the Senna S's, through turn 2, and then over left now through the curve to Sol, turn 3. Now the Reta Aposta, I think it's called. That's the straight here. I can't quite read the writing that's on here. But we're heading up towards turn 4, one of the fastest straights on the track. Purple sector 1. Into turn 4 we go. The Descida del Lago. And through turn 5, flat out down the hill. And now up the hill we head towards turn 6, the Ferradura. You can see the Senna Memorial on the building in front of us there. Through turn 7, now a double apex corner is turn 6 and 7, into the S's of turn 8, into the Pinerino, turn number 9, long left-hander. You want to slam your foot down real early around this corner. You've got to resist temptation and plant it at the right time. Slow into this slowest part of the circuit, not hitting the sausage curb on the inside. Get a nice straight exit as we head through turn 11. Is it flat out? Just about, I think it is. Heading up the hill to turn 12, a tricky corner this one is. Of course, this is where Lewis Hamilton made that infamous overtake, should we say, on Timo Glock to take the 2008 championship. And that is the last braking zone of the track. Flat out from here to the finish. And it's looking like a pretty good lap so far from Anthony Chavalerso. Taking as much as the inside here as we stretch towards the line. Across the line we'll go. And that is a lap of Interlagos. Quite a quick lap. We're back to the minute and a half region laps, and Sector 3 wasn't very good from Anthony Chevalier, so he dropped quite a bit of time, and is half a tenth behind Diogo Quintal at the moment. Carl Dubois, on his debut, a second down. Now, he is brand new to these cars, I believe, so he's actually settling in quite well if you look at it retrospectively. Third place, or fourth place as it was in practice, will be pretty good for him, let's be honest. Diogo Quintal, let's keep an eye on his times. He'll be keen for another maximum point round, and I've got a feeling it's going to be a little bit trickier tonight to achieve that. But we'll see how he gets on. We'll see. Through the S's he goes, and the Pinerino he goes. Carousel type corner. We're going to keep an eye on his Sector 2 time. Sector 1 obviously looking good. And mysterious numbers in that Sector 1 time that I don't want to refer to, but excuse me, heading around the final few corners here. You can take quite a lot of that outside curb there as we break down, and it's a good Sector 2 as well from the Portuguese driver as he heads towards the line. Let's take a quick look at Anthony Chevalier, so he's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. He's got a Tic Tac livery in front of him. I think right now you prefer the orange Tic Tacs rather than the mint ones, and it has held him up as Sector 2 is considerably down, and that's disappointing because look how good Sector 1 was looking for Anthony Chevalier. So what is he eating for breakfast? It's definitely not Tic Tacs anyway. So, extended time from Diogo Quintal. He goes another 10th clear. Anthony Chevalier so crosses the line, not crosses the line. Sounded like the life of Brian then, my commentary did then. And it wasn't a good time from Anthony. He was held up. He's going to have to try again as the Mercedes pulls off there. I think that's no, it's Andy Withers who was pulling off then. Anthony will try again. Let's take a look to Diogo Quintal. How's he got on in Sector 1? We're going to take a look at other drivers as well. Oh, quicker. Even more. Through Sector 1. How has Chevalier so got on in Sector 2? We'll check Steph Kramer's, because he's another one to look out for. And quicker is Anthony Chevalier, so I think that's outright first sector quicker. Steph Kramer's finishes Sector 1. Apt timing, that must be said. Oh, and look at that. Even quicker in Sector 1. It is on between these three of Steph Kramer's, Quintal and Chevalier. So it is rather a shame that Chevalier and Kramer's weren't involved right from the word go in this championship, because I feel like it would have been a cracking championship battle between him, Chevalier and Quintal. I still think Quintal would be on top at the moment if they all went all rounds, but I think it would have been a tougher going for Quintal. Quintal heads towards the line to extend his time, presumably again. Yeah, Sector 2 looked good as well. Across the line he's going to go. And he does improve his time. He's now 3/10 clear of Anthony Chevalier, so who abandoned his time. He's heading out of the pits. He abandoned it, and he decided to head back out on fresh tyres. 13 minutes remaining in the session, so plenty can be done. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Let's see how Steph Kramer gets on here. Now, we often have trouble with that delta on the times on screen, but Kramer's will go third place as it goes, just shy of half a second off of Quintal. But it puts himself in a good grid position provisionally at the moment. And at the moment, 16 drivers in the server, 3 drivers who haven't set a time yet, and that's 3 BMWs, Elliot House, Tim Johnson and Rodrigo Portugal. Haven't set times yet, but we'll see how we get on. Speaking of Rodrigo Portugal, now he's locked in a battle with other E-Motion driver Fabio Andrade, and that is for 5th in the championship heading into tonight. Now, Anthony Chevalier might have something to say about that 5th position, but these two of Andrade and Portugal are locked in a very exciting battle, and they're almost inseparable. And it is going to be worth keeping an eye on their battles throughout the next 2 rounds. 4 races to go in this championship. Really not that many more opportunities, and that's why drivers are probably thinking at this point, Quintal is out on his own and he's just going to take it. That's probably what people are thinking, because there's not enough races unless DNFs come along, because when you get a DNF in this championship, you score no points. Unless they come along, nothing can really be done about Quintal's charge at the moment. So, what else is going on? We've got the Mustang of Alex Ward, and I felt so sorry for Alex Ward heading out of Bathurst last time out, because he was driving really, really well, and then the stewards put it down to both at fault between him and Quintal. And I did feel sorry for Alex Ward nonetheless, because he did so well in that race and was looking good for a win. He might have got it. He might have got it. But it didn't quite work out, and he's going to be trying to get it back this week. Let's hope. Let's hope. The last winner we had that wasn't Diego Quintal was Paul Hans at Zolder. Paul Hans taking his debut win in Crest Autosport, let alone the series. That is the last time we've had a different winner. So Diego Quintal's in the pits at the moment. Might have decided, yep, I'll do. And Cheval Urso is doing very well in Sector 1 and has just let it off a little bit in Sector 2. The thing is with that BMW, it has got, I'd say it's got worse aerodynamics on it than the cars such as the Opel and the Mercedes, certainly. And I think that's why it struggles at times to maintain its grip. Across the line, it just does not go any quicker. Oh, and abandons this one. Now, just shy of 10 minutes left in the session. He's got time. Nikolai Mikov, we haven't spoken of him much yet so far. He had a disconnection last time at Bathurst. Absolutely gutted for him, because he's been really good in this championship. Been one of the drivers that's been poking himself into race win contentions every now and again. He's quite the driver to watch out on this in this series. So glad he's back. Glad his internet seems stable at the moment. As he comes across the line, he puts it 5th, literally as we're talking about him just then. Good job from Nikolai. That puts him in a very good position on the grid provisionally. Steph Kramer's here. Oh, very quick. Oh, 24.4. Ouch, that is good. Absolutely hammering the curb on the inside of the hairpin there. In the Jacques Lafitte livery he goes. That looked very clean through the fast left-hander then into the final braking zone. This looks pretty good. This not bad at all, but Sector 2 was a bit miserable by the looks of it. Let's see if anything does happen to his times, considering Sector 3 looked pretty good. He'll drift it over to the outside. It will not go any quicker, as in his time won't, but he'll try again. And Andrade has just come across the line. I think he's just put himself into 8th position. Ollie Hansen crossed the line. He's in 7th. Ollie Hansen is fighting for 2nd in the championship tonight. He's fighting for that with Paul Hans, who's in 9th place at the moment. So, respective of their championship standings, they might personally be a bit disappointed with 7th and 9th at the moment, but they know their battles between one another, and they'll be focusing on each other. That's got to be said. As Paul Hans struggles coming out of the center S's then. Looked like a very yeah, he's just abandoned it, decided to go back to the pits. Fresh tyres for the final part of qualifying here. Quintal is still in the pits. He feels like he's done enough. Beat that, guys. I feel comfortable. Dusts his hands off, puts his feet up. Of course, there is such thing as practicing too much, as Cheval Urso goes even quicker in Sector 1, 24.3, that's impressive. But yeah, there is such thing as sim racing fatigue, where you drive too much and you actually make yourself go backwards. And I wonder if that's something Quintal is thinking right now. You know what, I've done enough laps, let's just leave it as is. Either that, or he's got to have a comfort break or make a cup of tea, one or the other. Let's see how Cheval Urso gets on in Sector 2. It is still pretty quick. Here we go. I'm just going to see on my telemetry if I can see sector times, which I don't think I can. No, I can't, which is rather unfortunate. So here we go. How is this lap going to turn out for Cheval Urso? Pretty good Sector 1, pretty good Sector 2. It's a 138.316 he's targeting at least. Oh, and it's not quite. It's not quite. He's gone slower in Sector 3 by quite some margin. No idea what Diogo Quintal has done in Sector 3, but he's really making everyone struggle through that final sector. Bit of traffic up ahead here for Steph Kramer, so this might compromise him a little bit as we head into the final 5 minutes, or head towards the final 5 minutes of qualifying. And once that timer, I say it time and time again on these broadcasts, once that timer goes to 0, that's it. The session is over. You cannot complete your lap. That's in qualifying anyway. And that's why these drivers have to time it to perfection. Not in the sense that you cross the line before it gets to 0 to start a lap. Cross the line before it gets to 0 to finish your lap. And here we go. There's a little bit of Formula 1 style antics here. Rather like Monza. Kramers is waiting for the right driver. No, he's looking for a good exit from this corner to get a nice blast towards turn 1. He means business, does the Netherlands driver. As he powers it towards turn number 1. Up the ski as we go into 6th gear. Up towards 250 kilometers per hour. Over 250 kilometers per hour as we break down into turn number 1. Diogo Quintal is headed back out onto the track. I wonder if it's a little bit of a warm-up before the warm-up. Let's see how Kramers gets on. Such a beautiful track. It's rather new to Race Room, as it's a 24.4. We have seen quicker, and I'm not sure why it's purple. It's not the outright best. But yeah, Interlagos is such a beautiful track. You could say it's probably too small for Formula 1 nowadays, but they still race here, and it's still pretty good nonetheless. And it is fairly new to Race Room, is Interlagos, and quite the addition. It now means that there's a track on nearly every continent of the globe. We just need Kyalami. That's all we need now on Race Room is Kyalami. Then we can call it a day on making tracks. Yeah, I do wonder what Race Room are coming up with next in terms of tracks. They've Interlagos was fairly recent. What was the last track they released? That charade track was a fairly recent one. There was another one as well they released. I'm trying to remember what it was. Cannot remember. Donington Park is a recent one as well on Race Room, recently released. That's one of my favourite tracks on Race Room. It's awesome to drive. As Steph Kramer's crosses the line, he does not go any quicker. Running out of time, these guys are. They've got a minute and a half plus of lap, and 2 minutes 40. So Steph Kramer's, this will be his final lap. And Anthony Cheval Urso will start his final lap soon. Although, look at this. Let's see how he gets on here. Or has he... he did look like he went quite wide at the final corner then. Excuse me. Oh, has he done it? Oh, he hasn't. No. Oh, that was so close. It didn't look like a good Sector 3, but he's only half a tenth off Diogo Quintal upon completion of that lap. He's got another opportunity here. Could he do it? Could he deny Quintal pole position, which he has taken the last 2 rounds? Oh, it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good in Sector 1 at the moment. But that might be enough to make Quintal sweat a little bit. Thinking heading into the race, these guys are matching my pace. But Quintal knows that his battle in the championship is not actually with these drivers within a second of him. They're not his fight. He's just got to make sure he finishes clear of Janssen and Hans tonight. If he does that, he'll pretty much win the championship tonight. he'll know that's at stake here. It's 50 points for a win. You do get 2 points, bonus points for pole position and your fastest lap, so there's 6 up for grabs. And 2 of them will be notched up in the next minute. And of course, 109 points clear is Diogo Quintal, so if he ends up not conceding more than 9 points, or more than 8 points should I say, from Janssen, he'll win the championship tonight. Cheval Urso crosses the line for the final time. That'll be it for qualifying. That'll pretty much mean, there you have it, Diogo Quintal takes pole position here at Interlagos for the 5th round, his 3rd pole position in a row. Anthony Cheval Urso takes 2nd position, only half a tenth behind. Steph Kramer's just shy of half a second behind in 3rd place. Carl Dubois on his debut will take 4th on the grid. Nikolai Mikov, with I think it's his best qualifying of the season, takes 5th place from Ian Deeney in 6th position. Jeff Perkis of Next Gen takes 7th with Ollie Janssen, 2nd in the championship, 8th in qualifying. Fabio Andrade in 9th position with Paul Hans, who was 3rd in the championship, takes the 10th spot. Captain Slow Andy Withers takes 11th position with Rodrigo Portugal in 12th, and it's all Brits from then on of Alex Ward, Carl Smith, Tim Johnson and Elliot House will start 16th with no time set in qualifying. So there we go, that was qualifying. It could well have been Anthony Cheval Urso at the top there. If Sector 3, I got a feeling Sector 3 is not well suited to the BMW, because we've seen the BMWs really struggle through there so far. We've actually seen the Mercedes struggle through there as well. It might just be that Quintal has got that car on absolute rails and is able to maintain quite a high top speed along that main straight. That has been what's denied anyone else a fighting chance of pole position in this round tonight. So we've got 4 minutes until warm-up ends. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, this is our itinerary tonight. We finished qualifying, we're heading into a 20-minute race very shortly. There'll be an interval between races 1 and 2 of around about 5 minutes, but we'll be back with race 2, and it'll be reverse 10 of the finishers from race 1 to form the grid, and it'll be a 30-minute race. And once race 2 is finished, we are going to reveal the plans for next season. There's quite a lot of plans that we're going to reveal to you. It will include the schedule, the cars, and the format of the championship. So do stay tuned after race 2, as we'll be going straight into that as soon as the racing is capped off. But we have got 50 minutes of racing to watch ahead of us, in the form of a 20-minute opening race and then a 30-minute closing race. As we watch what could be our champion-elect tonight. He scored 2 points to extend his lead to 111 points. So he merely needs to score, well, not let Ollie Janssen score 10 points more than him tonight. That is El plan for Quintal today. So we mentioned earlier on that Carl Dubois is leading the other championship we have, the MX-5 championship. That's another championship you can get involved with. I can't get the poster on the screen right now, but we do have another championship running on Tuesdays for MX-5s, and there's going to be another MX-5 season starting once our current one is finished. But the way you can get involved in these leagues, or keep an eye on them, is if you head into the description of this video here on YouTube. take a look at the description and have a look at the relevant websites, crestautosport.com, as well as our Facebook group, facebook.com/Crest Autosport Race Room. I had to remember what it was then. And there is also a Discord link. You can keep an eye on us that way as well, should you wish. But before you do that, definitely give us a like as well. A like on the video goes a long way. It really does help the algorithm on YouTube. They love their likes, do YouTube. And if you really, really do like us and you want to see more content from us, give us a subscribe as well. Really does help out the channel by you doing that. It means we can do more streams and more broadcasts like this. This driver's getting a little bit of practice in here. Quite a few drivers out on track at the moment, and normally we don't get many out there. But drivers tend to go off for a quick fag break, a quick toilet break, grab a drink, grab a beer, before they start the first race of the night. Some drivers like to get out on track and do a little bit more practice. Some drivers, you can never get enough practice. Some drivers prefer to have a little break. I'm one of those drivers that likes to rest in between races. As I mentioned, the overdriving, the sim racing fatigue thing. So we're about to head into this opening race of the night, and this is the grid that we'll have for this opening race of the night. Diego Quintal will start on the pole position for the third race in succession. Anthony Chaval will start second place alongside him. And it's going to be a short dash to turn number 1, so Anthony Chaval will have a good opportunity to try and take that first place very early on, which he did actually do at Bathurst last time. Steph Kramers and Carl Dubois will take up the second row. Nikolai Mikov and Ian Deeney on the third row in 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th taken up by Jeff Perkis and Ollie Janssen. Remember, Ollie Janssen is second in the championship and the closest to stopping Quintal from taking the championship tonight. Fabio Andrade and Paul Hans will line up the 5th row. 6th row taken up by Andy Withers and Rodrigo Portugal. 7th row taken up by Alex Ward and Carl Smith. Tim Johnson and Elliot House will line up the 8th row of 15th and 16th to round off the grid. Says formation at the top. We're not. We're forming the grid. And here we go. We're about to get underway for this opening race of the night here at Interlagos. It's Quintal on the left. It's Chaval on the right. Lights are red. Now they're green. Or they're out, should we say. And they're away for this opening race of the night. It looks like a good start from Quintal. He comes across the grid all ready to block his sight into turn number 1. And it is a very good start for the Portuguese driver. As wide there goes Mikov. He goes very wide. Oh, nearly into Jeff Perkins, who had to swerve to avoid and drop down the order a little bit. I can't quite tell who has dropped down a little bit, but they are making their way through, and it was a bit of a shaky start there for Nikolai Mikov. It is, I'm not sure who it was dropping off, but it is Quintal at the front, and he's got Chaval Urso not too far behind him. Steph Kramers has dropped off a little bit, but he should be able to try and catch back up. We've got Mikov real close to Jeff Perkins heading out of turn number 5. And look at this gaggle of cars back here as we're heading up the hill. On the inside there in the Opel is Fabio Andrade. On the inside of Ian Deeney. Can't quite make it, but he's so close to the rear of that Mercedes. Rodrigo Portugal has moved up a few places already, as has Elliot House on his inside heading into the right-hander there. And he has moved up 4 places so far with a very good start for the Brit, trying to get his way past the Portuguese driver already. To the outside he goes into hairpin, he'll duck under, he'll brake late to the inside, and Rodrigo will cover him off on the apex there, and a bit of a nudge from Alex Ward to say, get a move on, House. This is my house, actually. Onto the main straight, already a lap completed at Interlagos. There's so much going on in one lap here at this excellent, legendary track. And Anthony Chaval has got nothing to answer for Quintal just yet, who seems to be a rocket on this part of the track. He's extended from 4/10 to 6/10, and we're not even at the end of the straight yet. Across the line, Quintal leads from Urso, from Steph Kramers and Carl Dubois on his debut in the DTM series right here. Jeff Perkins doing pretty well in 5th place there. He's moved up 2 places already. And back here we have got a fight between Elliot House and Alex Ward, but House gets back in front and nearly took a lunge too. Rodrigo Portugal there. Heading out of the Senna S's. We've got Andy Withers on his debut tonight as well. We'll see how he gets on tonight. He's keeping well with these drivers at the moment and is pulling along Tim Johnson while he goes for it. Good sector 1 here from Chevalier, so he really gained on Diogo Quintal, but it seems that the Opel is very good in sector 3, but in sectors 1 and 2, the BMW seems to be the dominant car. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 at the moment, as we see Chevalier so go through the double apex right-hander into the S's we go. This is BMW territory. If he can get it just right, he's going to have a little bit of dirty air, which might not be helping, especially in these cars. Let's see how he gets on. They're taking drastically different lines, and that's just down to the nature of these cars. You see the BMW is a much smaller car as Diogo Quintal washed out wide a little bit there, heading through the hairpin. Let's go for a different angle to that. Chevalier so is going to try and move to the inside. Not quite going to make it, and that means Quintal might have a good exit from this corner. Oh, he had to stamp on the brake. Well, I think he was stamping on the brakes. Yeah, he might have actually been turning on his lights, flashing Diogo Quintal to put him off there. I don't think it was his brake lights. But yeah, just look how much Quintal is pulling away on this. Well, I call it a straight. It's not really a straight here in Interlagos. And that's what's really costing the BMWs. Oh, it's breaking into the first corner. Chevalier so had to take evasive action. And that might actually be where the BMW is getting the better of the Opel, is under braking. Let's see what Chevalier so can do down this straight. He's not going to be close enough to make a move just yet. But he did do well at the end of the straight there, and he's keeping up with him at the moment. There's a lot going on back here. Carl Smith and Tim Johnson were swapping places. We are going to check back in with the front here. Flash of the lights there from Tim Johnson to let someone know, or let us know, that we're watching him. Chevalier so not letting Quintal get away. Chevalier knows this could be a big opportunity for him to take a win in this championship. He's not here for championships. He's here to get himself as high as he can in the championship from the late start he had and get himself a race win. Paul Hans battling with Ollie Hansen. Now they're battling for the championship. Hans needs to finish ahead of Janssen to get more points than him, as we have 4 races left in the championship. He has got 14 points to pick up to get the better of Janssen. Nikolai Mikov doing very well in these last few laps. He's pulled away from Janssen and he's right on the rear of Jeff Perkis as we head through the final corner and along the main stretch section, whatever you want to call it, of Interlagos here. Is he going to get a good run on Jeff Perkis in similar machinery here in the BMW? He's getting a run of the slipstream. Perkis has gone defensive, but to the inside will go Nikolai Mikov, being brave in inside here. Will he be the latest of the breakers? Just about, and it looks pretty clean so far. Mikov makes the move and back into 5th place, but back up the inside. Perkis thought of it, but he thought better. He thought better not risk it, otherwise it might be a Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton situation going through turn number 2 there. Perkis thought wisely about that. Oh, we got Carl Smith is off on the S's here, recovering here. He's still in 15th place as something's happened to Andy Withers. He's far down the order. Something's and well behind the pack. Oh, as he takes another spin, we'll take the cameras away from him just because these two are fairly close together. Withers having in a bit of the wars there, and he's new to these cars. He just needs to learn the trade a little bit, I think. Someone who's learnt the trade pretty quickly in these cars, although he is a very good rear-wheel drive driver, I've seen anyway, particularly in the MX-5s, is Carl Dubois here, doing very well in 4th place. On his own in a little bit, but letting the top 3 battle amongst each other. It's actually the closest I think I've seen this top 3, apart from the opening lap of races. Onto the main straight. It was actually a bad corner then from Chevalier, so we're going to go with Steph Kramers. It looks like he got a good run from the corner, and that Opel is just a rocket down the straight, and that's what's really costing these two drivers. Kramers might not be able to make a move, or will he? Yeah, he's going to think about it. Oh, he bleeds towards the inside, and he's got to the inside. Through goes Steph Kramers. Brilliant move on the Frenchman to get himself into 2nd place. And he's not dropped off too far from Quintal. He might be able to make quick work of Quintal. He might be able to say to Chevalier, so here you go, I'll show you how it's done. He's not going to be able to do it on this straight, but he'll be able to catch up throughout this lap, if this pace on this previous few laps has shown us anything. Oh, he looked like he coasted a little bit there, did Kramers, to regain control of the car, and Chevalier went a bit wide there and got himself a slowdown penalty. It is strict at this track. If you run wide, it will give you a hefty slowdown penalty. All we have to do to get rid of them is lift off the accelerator, and you'll get your time back. Wouldn't it be great if there was a magic system like that in the real-life world of racing Formula 1? Bahrain Turn 4 would have been a different story. Let's put it that way. That was turn 4 at Interlagos that Chevalier had trouble with then. 1 second dropped off from Kramers here. Hasn't been a good sector 2 of this lap. Quintal is into territory where he can start to get his head down and relax a little bit, but keep up the momentum. You can really tell Kramers is hammering the hell out of that car to try and get it back up towards Diego Quintal. Let's check on others. We've got the battle for second in the championship between Janssen and Hans. Hans has dropped off a bit and he's under a little bit of pressure here from Ian Deeney behind in the Mercedes. And back there in 10th place is Fabio Andrade, and 10th place is relevant because that is reverse grid pole if you can keep it for race 2. Here we go. Ian Deeney to the outside. Not the ideal line for an overtake on this corner. He can't keep it around the outside. The tic-tac liveried Paul Hans keeps hold of 8th position for the moment. He gets out of shape and Ian Deeney's almost pushing him along. Not able to get it to the outside or the inside to get past him. Hans hangs on to it just about at the moment as his rival is getting away up ahead. He's actually catching Jeff Perkis and might be able to challenge for 6th place at the moment. Oh, it's a big battle here for 8th place at the moment, as we've got Rodrigo Portugal and Elliot House looking to join in on this battle, but they're also looking for reverse grid honours. Fabio Andrade catches up with Ian Deeney, and the BMW of Portugal goes wide here, and Elliot House is going to be desperate to try and get that position because House looks good to catch up with the cars ahead. Oh, and there's contact between the two. House goes for a spin, and it looked like that he had the inside, but the cars just met each other on turning into the corner, and that's really cost House a lot of time, but only 1 position. But it's cost him potential contention for 10th spot. We'll see what can happen for the remaining 10 minutes of this race. Might actually be okay. He hasn't dropped a huge amount of time. But Portugal got away with one then. He could have been turned around himself as well. As we look back towards the front, Kramers and Chevalier have swapped positions again. To the inside goes Steph Kramers, and this looks very risky indeed, but he just about kept it behind the Frenchman. This is going to let Quintal gain away up ahead there, and they've now dropped to 1.5 seconds. I did glance at the times while we were looking at the previous battle, and they were within 7/10 at one point of Quintal on that previous lap. Now the lead has doubled. There's the battle raging on between these two. Something's happened to Ian Deeney here. He's spun coming out of the S's and he's dropping positions like a fly here. And he'll drop to 13th position. Not entirely sure what happened to him there, but we regain at the front. Ian Deeney Steph Kramers looking for a way past. He gets all sorts of shape loss then and drops off a bit of time from Chevalier. So we've also got Ollie Janssen trying to move on Jeff Perkis here. Rodrigo Portugal's done well on this lap as well. He's moved up from 11th to 9th position. His championship rival for 5th place is up ahead of him, and he said, you know what, I'm going after him. He gets past Paul Hans. He's losing points to Ollie Janssen. Janssen really got one hand on the silver medal at the moment. 2nd in the championship. And Portugal puts himself into reverse grid contention. And Fabio Andrade with a bad exit from the hairpin there. Portugal's looking really good to gain some places here and get himself into 8th place, and good championship points for him. This is the person he's battling in the championship, as we mentioned. Good exit is what's needed from this corner. A bit of a shake of the car there heading out of the final corner. But that Opel, well, of course, if Quintal is quick on the straights, Andrade's going to be quick on the straights, as they both seem to be romping away on this main straight here in Interlagos with that car, the Opel underneath them. but it is the middle sector and the first sector that the BMW comes alive, and the Opel washed out wide there. Portugal, oh, trying to get the undercut, and he just about keeps it away from the side of that Opel. There's a little bit of contact, but he keeps the outside here, and they've got Paul Hans threatening them as well. Portugal's got to do it round the outside of Andrade, but Andrade gets in front. Tic-tac livery alongside him of Paul Hans. He regains 9th place, and still trying to keep it alongside him is Portugal. But Paul Hans makes it through into 9th place. He capitalised on Portugal's struggle going through turn 3 then, and he was able to get it back in front. Oh, and Paul Hans understeers a lot. I don't think there was contact there. I don't think they were close enough, but it just didn't seem to turn into the corner. That gives 9th place back to Rodrigo Portugal, and he can try again at Fabio Andrade, who seems to be struggling in this part of the circuit. Portugal is on fire on this part of the circuit. He's stretching away from Paul Hans, and he's stretching towards Fabio Andrade here. Let's stay with this battle for the moment, and Portugal is wiggling that car around on the exit. He's really put it to the limit of where he can go. And he's had a good corner here, but this is the part of the track where the Opel will stretch away. Board with the Fina livery of Johnny Cicotto. Here is Rodrigo Portugal, and the Opel just pulling away. Now the tyres are going to start slipping away from these cars now. We know that much, and they're going to be battling that on the exit of a lot of these corners. Ole Jansen here can't quite make a move yet on Jeff Perkis. I'm not sure how well the Mustang is on this circuit. I'm not entirely sure if it's a good track for the Mustang or not. Can't quite work it out yet. There's not enough cars on track. There's 2 Mustangs on the track. And speaking of, one of them is looking to contend for 10th position, which, as we mentioned, reverse grid pole. Alex Ward had that last time out at Bathurst. Can he do it again here at Interlagos? Top 3, shall I say, still battling out. Cheval Urso is not yet too far behind Quintal, as Quintal's tyres might drop off. Cheval Urso might be able to take advantage, but Kramers hasn't let Cheval Urso go yet either, still within 7/10. We'll keep a sharp eye on this battle, hopefully. Want to get back to this battle. 9th and 8th. Potentially 10th and 11th joining. Oh, as Paul Hans gets very much out of shape in the background there. That's going to cost him some time. You've got the Mustang scraping along the ground, heading out of the corner there. We take a look at the front as Steph Kramers has got pretty close to Cheval Urso. I think he lost it a little bit heading into turn 1, and that has invited the Dutchman back. Going to try a move here. Has to be really late on the brakes if he's going to make that work, and it wasn't going to. Good exit from here. Might be able to get it to the inside for turn number 6. Easy to the inside already at turn number 5. A bad exit from Cheval Urso. Can Steph Kramers get ahead? He's trying to block off the inside already, but Cheval Urso fights back. Contact between the two, but a good exit here from Steph Kramers. He might be able to get ahead. And through he goes. Brilliant battling from the two of them, but wide he goes, and Cheval Urso might be able to fight it back. He has the inside for the next corner though, does Steph Kramers, and he's got it ahead, but they've dropped even more time. 2.5 seconds down from Quintal. He's just walking away with this at the moment, just through them battling. I don't think this battle's over by any stretch of the imagination. Cheval Urso is going to try and fight it back. He did it a few laps ago, and there's 3.5 minutes left in this race. Alex Ward has got himself into 10th place while we are watching Kramers and Cheval Urso battle it out. This is reverse grid, and Paul Hans will miss out again on the reverse grid. He did so in Bathurst, and Alex Ward gained it from Paul Hans last time out, and it might be happening again. They've stretched to, or they've fallen, shall I say, to 2.5 seconds behind Rodrigo Portugal up ahead, and there'll be, I think there'll be 2 laps remaining. Oh, we got another change here. Oh, and Cheval Urso goes wide. Oh, I think it looked like he was letting him back by there. But there's no swap of positions at the top. As Janssen real close to Jeff Perkis. 2 more laps for these drivers, I think there'll be, is what I was trying to say before. And Ollie Janssen, he has struggled to overtake Jeff Perkis. I sort of think of Jeff Perkis as a bit of a human roadblock sometimes. Very tricky to pass, but also I got a feeling that Mustang does struggle to overtake with its brakes being so weak that it just can't outbrake other drivers. Having said that, the Mustang is really good out of the corners and is really good on the straights. Oh, Perkis goes wide here. That really is going to invite the Mustang for a look, but he can't quite get it just yet, can Ollie Janssen? Not quite going to make it, and back here, this is the battle for reverse grid, 10th place. Paul Hans back to the inside, and Alex Ward gives plenty of racing room as he knows he's going to have the inside for the next corner, but Paul Hans powers it around the outside. He understeers a little bit. He's still going to hold the side there, but they two come together. Paul Hans loses shape and Alex Ward gets away. It was hard to tell from our angle what actually happened there. It kind of looked like Paul Hans got out of shape there, but he's going to drop to a second 0.6 behind Alex Ward. As we head towards the final lap, that might be reverse grid contention done for Paul Hans unless anything changes to Alex Ward up ahead of him here. Quintal starts his final lap. Kramers is in second place and seems to be holding it quite well from Chevalier Urso. Ian Deeney's taking a spin here coming out of the final corner. It hasn't been a good race for the Brit. Qualifying looked pretty good, but the race has not looked that way for him. We got Janssen here, still trying to move on Jeff Perkis. He's pretty close here in a car that is superior on this part of the track. Is he able to get it alongside? Jeff Perkis has gone defensive. Janssen's going to have to try the outside. And he's going to try a bit of an undercut here. He's decided not to risk a devastating move at turn 4 there. He's going to just bring it home, I think. There's not many more opportunities for a car like the Mustang to try and move. But then again, oh, he couldn't quite outbrake Jeff Perkis for 6th place there at turn number 6 there. Nearly. That's what I can say. We revert to our leader of this race, who's going to win his 5th race on the trot. And I believe it's not a fastest lap. I think that's gone in the way of Steph Kramers, so it's not going to be a maximum point round. And there's a big shake-up in the top 10 there as Rodrigo Portugal drops off, but it's our race winner here. We're taking our eyes on here. Oh, no, he's going to start another lap. I stand corrected. He's got one more lap to complete, and that was close. That was real close. The drama that's happened is Rodrigo Portugal is in the pits. Something has happened to him. Not entirely sure what, but it's put him out of the race. And that has dropped him out of the top 10, of course. And will score him no points. That really puts championship in favour for 5th place anyway for Fabio Andrade. Disappointing for Portugal. But it's a little bit of a sigh of relief for Paul Hans there in 10th place. But he is battling for it with Elliot House at the moment. And Alex Ward is involved in that as well. So it could go to any 3 of these drivers. Ollie Janssen's to the inside of Jeff Perkis here. This is going to be for 6th place. He's this time around got the inside. Oh, has he broke too late? I think he has. Oh, but Jeff Perkis couldn't get it back up the inside. Janssen takes the position. Excellent move from the Mustang there. He tried so desperately for many laps. He's finally got ahead. Alex Ward's holding 9th place here, however. Paul Hans in 10th place, holding it off from Elliot House. Does he attack? Does he defend? This is reverse grid we're looking at here. The driver who finishes in the middle will get pole position of them all. And Elliot House to the inside. He's going to take the position from Paul Hans. Hans is trying to get it back up the inside, but House holds it brilliantly. An excellent move from the driver there who got spun round just a few laps ago. And he's now into 10th place as Paul Hans tries the outside. It looked like a very good move around the outside, but he wasn't able to hold it. We've got to revert to the front as Quintal crosses the line to take the win in this race. Kramers takes a backwards 2nd place, and Cheval Urso rounding off the podium. Dubois on his debut takes 4th position. Mikov will come through. He's going to finish in 5th position, and Ollie Janssen with a brilliant move at the end there will take 6th. Andrade has taken 7th place from Jeff Perkis there. Through he goes, and Perkis 8th place there. Alex Ward will come through in 9th place, and Elliot House. I don't know where Paul Hans is, but Elliot House with a final lap move for 10th place will take reverse grid pole. I think he would rather not start 10th. Actually, he loves coming through the field, but he'll start from the front in the next race. And Paul Hans, bit of damage on that car. Something's happened to him when we looked away. But it'd be a disappointing 11th place for him. Him, Ian Deeney and Portugal themselves will be quite disappointed with how their races have gone. And I've just heard Rodrigo Portugal ran out of fuel. Oh dear. Quintal wins this race here. Win number 5 in a row. And we are just waiting for drivers to finish here, and that was the finishing driver. And there we go, there's the results of this first race of the night. Diogo Quintal well on his way to the championship. And I'm just going to try and do the maths quickly. 52 points scored for Quintal tonight, and Ollie Jansen has scored 28 points, so that's a 24 point gain, which puts him to 33 points clear of Ollie Jansen, which means that Quintal needs to have a miserable race 2 for it to go elsewhere. So we are just waiting for the server to switch over. It will switch over to race 2 very, very shortly. And the next race 2 will be a 30-minute race, so an extra 10 minutes. We are back in the server. We'll switch back over very shortly. But yeah, a longer race coming up here, 30 minutes, which means the tyres are going to get even worse for the drivers in the latter part of the race. We did see some drivers really struggling towards the end. A lot of drivers struggling for fuel, in fact. It's a strange thing. It does give you, in racing, it does give you calculations of fuel. It does. But sometimes it's not 100% accurate, because things can happen in a race, like you can use your gears differently, you can be in a battle, which running behind the driver can save fuel. Yeah, it's quite a tricky one to gauge, actually. Always overfuel. Always overfuel. But the thing is, you do want to get it as close as you can, because you want as little weight in the car as possible, particularly in cars like these that are so sensitive to weight distribution and weight balance and weight amount, in order to optimize their speed. But yeah, quite an interesting race that was indeed. We did see a good battle for second place between Steph Kramers and Chevalier, so we did see Ollie Jansen picking off positions to get himself into 6th place. Alex Ward and Elliot House making their way through the pack to get themselves into the top 10, to put themselves in the reverse grid draw. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, later on in the stream, after race 2, so it'll be in around about 35 to 40 minutes time from now, we will be revealing next season of the World Touring Car Challenge, as we're heading into the final round next week. The final round next week will be at the Nordschleife. It is the home of DTM, of course. They say Zolder is, but it's actually Nordschleife, isn't it? And yeah, it'll be a very, very interesting final round. I'm expecting the final race of the night to be only 4 laps in length. It might be 5, might be 4. I'm not entirely sure. I estimate it to be 4. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one next week at the Nordschleife. Do tune in next week to catch that round as it happens. But this might be a crucial round to watch, a crucial race to watch as well, as Diogo Quintal might take the championship in this race. All he has to do really is finish. We go on the fact there's 16 drivers in here. It was a 32-point gap, I think, in the championship. Yeah. Put it this way, Ollie Hansen needs to win this race, and Diogo Quintal needs to finish rock bottom, or not finish, for the championship to stay alive going into the Nordschleife. And even then, Quintal would have to not finish those races for Ollie Hansen to win the championship. So if Quintal knows this situation without listening to me, he'll know that heading into this race. But he is going to head out there and he is going to try and win this race. We know that much. Starting from 10th on the grid, he's done it in the previous 2 rounds. He's made his way through the order and he's won the races. We know he's going to try and do that because races be races. We're out there to have fun. We're out there to move our way through the order. And with Quintal picking up those points to extend his lead to an almost impossible to catch gap, it means he can have more fun now. You know what I mean? It's a nice situation to be in. I've been in it in championships, particularly the World Touring Car Championship happened 2 seasons ago where I was leading the championship by some margin. It does alleviate the pressure and it allows you to have more fun in the races. It really does. And that's what's going to happen to Quintal here. Okay, so we're going to go through the starting grid for the next race of the night. Remember, it's the results of race 1 which you're seeing here, but the top 10 are reversed. So Elliott House will start on pole position with Alex Ward alongside him. On row 2 it will be Jeff Perkis and Fabio Andrade. Remember, Fabio Andrade is of Emotion team, same as Quintal, so he'll be helping out as much as he can for his driver to win the championship. 5th place on the grid will be Ollie Hansen, and alongside him on that 3rd row would be Nikolai Mikov. On the 4th row it will be Carl Dubois starting in 7th place and Anthony Chavalerso in 8th position. 9th place will be Steph Kramers with Diogo Quintal in the 10th position. Starting 11th will be Paul Hans with Ian Deeney in 12th position. They'll be looking for a better race this time around. Anthony Withers in 13th place with Tim Johnson starting 14th, and Carl Smith will start 15th with Rodrigo Portugal. Hopefully he'll put enough fuel in the car this time. He'll start 16th. So we're going to get underway very shortly here for the final race of the night, and this could be the race that concludes first place in the championship. In the next half an hour or so, we're going to find out. And here we go, all drivers on the grid. It's Elliott House on the front row on the left, and on the right it is Alex Ward. Lights are red. And away we go. It looked like a pretty good start from Alex Ward there as he blasts toward turn number 1 in first position, and he has a clean entrance into turn number 1. Through he goes. And we got drivers here. They were 3 wide heading into turn 1, but they've just about managed to sort themselves out. Through the S's they go. Al Janssen in the black Mustang there, getting beaten around a little bit. He's on his outside. He's got Steph Kramers. On his inside he's got Chavalerso, and he spins into the wall, and that's going to be game over. And into the wall also goes Chavalerso, and there's cars everywhere in the background here. Andy Withers is collected as well. And Diogo Quintal, something happened to him as well. He's dropped off a little bit here, but he looks reasonably unscathed at the moment. It looks like it's game over for Ollie Janssen back there. And on that basis, if Quintal can finish this race, he will be champion. Drama already early on in this race. Alex Ward continues to lead. In 2nd place is Elliott House, and Jeff Perkis in 3rd place. The winner of the races in the last 5 races is down in 12th position. He's got it all to do. He's got Kramers ahead of him, who is also going to be charging through the field, but has been shuffled rather considerably here. As going through turn 4, it all just went pear-shaped with cars going 3 wide, it looked like. It didn't quite work out. Through the final corner, Alex Ward leads the start of this race as he did last time out at Bathurst. He'll be really looking for vengeance almost in this race here as he blasts towards turn number 1. He looks real confident in that Mustang right here, right now. Across the line they go. Ward first, House in second, Perkis in third, and a move there from Andrade to try and take 4th place. Carl Dubois to the inside will take 5th place from Nikolai Mikov. Brilliant move from the leader in the MX5 Championship, and he's already set his sights on the Opel up ahead of Fabio Andrade. Can Dubois get it on his debut tonight? Can he go for the win tonight? Let's keep an eye on that. Paul Hans there has moved his way from 11th to 7th place. He'll be happier with that progress in this race. We've got Ian Deeney trying to move on. Tim Johnson here. Tim Johnson has moved his way well up the order to 8th place from the starting antics we saw. And he holds 8th place still heading through turns 3, 4 and 5. Up here we got Mikov versus Andrade to the outside, and he couldn't quite get it to the apex. Andrade will hang on to 5th place at the moment, and Paul Hans will be looking to try and challenge it as well. Got Ian Deeney trying to make a move on Tim Johnson here, and they got Steph Kramers all over them. Oh, and Mikov spun there in the S's, and through goes Steph Kramers. He found the gap to get past all those drivers that were running slow there. But it was Nikolai Mikov who spun going through the S's there. Not sure if there was contact. We didn't quite see it, but he drops down to 13th place. Portugal versus Portuguese driver. Quintal moves up to 10th place. He's back to where he started. He's got Ian Deeney ahead of him, but he's Steph Kramers and Carl Dubois long up the road that he needs to catch up with. But there's a long way left in this race, and it's been a scruffy start to this race from everyone. By the looks of it at the moment. Let's see how Quintal gets on this straight here against Ian Deeney. Look how quick this Opel is. He's just making mincemeat of that Merc up ahead there. To the inside he goes, and this will be 9th place, presumably, for Quintal if he can get his braking right heading into turn number 1. We've also got Paul Hans to the inside of Tim Johnson heading into turn 1, being very precarious, but he makes it through. And Quintal hasn't quite made the move on Ian Deeney. Deeney is much later on the brakes, and he's able to keep it ahead of the Portuguese driver. Brilliant driving from Deeney, but Quintal is quicker on the straights, and he's going to try a move here before we head into turn number 4. On the brakes, it's not easy to hold it around the outside on that corner. Oh, was nearly out of shape there goes Tim Johnson. He nearly spun right ahead of our championship leader then, who moves away and forward into 8th position. Back towards the front, we have got Carl Dubois trying his hands at Elliott House and Alex Ward up ahead. He's gained on Elliott House here, and he's going to try and get himself into 2nd place. Steph Kramers is back there trying to make a move on Andrade, and he does make the move on Andrade. And into 5th place he goes. We've also got Quintal here trying to move on Paul Hans already. Round the outside of the hairpin. Oh, and Hans closes the door. Ian Deeney's to the outside, so we head around the left-hander here. It's not the most ideal place to try and overtake, but Ian Deeney saw the opportunity, he's trying it. Oh, and a bit of contact there from Quintal on Paul Hans. I think Quintal purposely slowed down there to let Paul Hans stay ahead. And now he can challenge on the straight here, and we just know Quintal is going to blast by in that Opel that has got considerably more power by the looks of it. Or better setup, shall we say, than the other cars in this field. We've got Rodrigo Portugal trying to make his way past Tim Johnson here. He's into the top 10. Started 16th place, and he's up there in the top 10. Carl Dubois has made his way past Elliott House, where we're watching the battle down there in the field. And now he can set his sights on the car ahead of Alex Ward. What a race this has been from Dubois. He's avoided the drama at the start, and he's got himself into a very, very promising position right now. Retirement from this race, Ollie Hansen. And as I said, all Quintal has to do is finish this race. He'll be champion. Carl Smith has made his way past Tim Johnson. Carl Smith is one of those drivers that picks up plus positions in every race he seems to take part in. He just focuses on getting to the end. He's always quiet in these races, but he's sitting there in 11th place. Very pleasing position for him. And past Tim Johnson he goes, getting towards that top 10. Let's see if he can do it. Quintal in 7th place. He's behind his teammate. Teammate presumably will not give him much of a rough time, but we look back towards the front. Alex Ward is now going to be under pressure from the gold and green Mercedes behind of Carl Dubois. Onto the main straight we go. Wow, look at that Mustang just blast away. It's able to get up this hill with its considerably higher brake horsepower. And now as it flattens out, Car Dubois hasn't got much to answer for. Look how much that Mustang has blown away from the Mercedes on the straight here. Oh, and back here we've got Steph Kramer's very late on the brakes, getting it past Jeff Perkis into turn number 1. Taking a lot of curb on the inside there was Kramer's, but he's through and into the top 4, despite a little bit of drama at the beginning. But Alex Ward has not gone so well through turns 1, 2, and 3, and into turn 4. Car Dubois might be about to take the lead of the race here. Late on the brakes, Alex Ward did blast away a little bit on the straights, but not enough. Dubois is through and into the lead. Let's see how Alex Ward can retort. This is the view from Alex Ward. He's not able to make a move yet. Guarding the inside is Car Dubois. And into turn number 6. Oh, a bit of understeer there from the Mercedes. And Alex Ward gets the undercut, and all out of shape is the Mercedes, but he just about keeps it ahead. Sliding side to side and understeering off the track almost. But he just about hangs on to first place. This is the rear view from 5th place. Back there are the 2 Emotion drivers. When we'll see them coming out of the hairpin very shortly. But the second of the Opals there is Diogo Quintal. Doesn't need to win this race, but he'll want the win in the race. He will know that much. Elliott House following Alex Ward through, and Alex Ward in that Mustang is just going to blast away. But Elliott House has got Steph Kramers to worry about as well. Kramers there hovering behind the BMW. Heading towards turn 1 we go. Steph Kramers presumably is going to go for a move here. Is he going to be late on the brakes? The Mercedes doesn't actually have good brakes, and it's proven there. The BMW later on the brakes, but does in fact go wide. Brakes too late, and through goes Steph Kramers. Just about enough room to get it to the apex there. And he's into the top 3 now. And already going to set his sights on the Mustang up ahead. 21 minutes left in this race. He does not want Dubois to get too far ahead. He's whom he's going to challenge very shortly. Quintal has moved past his teammate into 6th position. Kramers with a good exit here. Oh, and he had to ease off just a tiny bit there. He could not make it past the Mustang at that point. Dubois goes wide off in the distance there, but he's not under too much threat. Kramers can't yet make the move. He'll be frustrated, but Dubois has not stretched his lead as much as Kramers would have worried he would. Good exit there from the hairpin from Kramers, but Ward is defending this really, really well. And Kramers will have to try again at another time, because watch this Mustang just pull away now. There it goes. And it's going to be interesting to see if that Mustang can gain much on the Mercedes up ahead. Not enough to make a move, certainly not, but he stretched it to 5/10, has Ward. Quintal is coming, he's after the top 5 here as Kramers brakes too late into turn 1. So does Elliott House, he gets all sorts of shape loss there, and through is going to go Jeff Perkis into 4th place. That was nearly a tears moment. Steph Kramers nearly getting into the back of the Mustang there. That would not have made Alex Ward stay. His race ended through contact. Last time out, he does not want it ending through contact this week as well. Defending this really well, though, is Alex Ward. And he's not actually letting Car Dubois stretch away up ahead. Now this is the thing, drivers have to look after their tyres as well. They're hunting for positions, they're also hunting to get the tyres to the end of the race. It's a fine balance they have to tread. And there are certain cars in this field that are better for its tyre wear than others. We know the Opel is not very good on its tyre wear. But we know the BMW is actually better on its tyre wear. So we got to keep an eye on Jeff Perkis and Elliott House in this race. Both these drivers searching for a win still in this series. The only drivers that have won races this season are Diogo Quintal, Paul Hans, Michael Clough and Steph Kramers. We haven't seen a Mustang win yet. Diogo Quintal has caught up with these two drivers, squabbling away for 4th place. He's going to join in that battle, and wide then goes Elliott House. Quintal's going to take a late apex into turn number 3 here. He's going to try a move down the straight here. It's very quick down the straights. Is this open? And look at it, just reel in the BMW and pull alongside. Is he going to be later on the race? No, he's not. That's the issue. I think what Quintal has done is put himself on a very, very low wing setting on that rear wing, but it means braking into the corners is going to be extended. It's a sort of similar effect with ride height as well. Kramers making a move on Alex Ward, and through he goes into the S's. Ward can't do much with that. It's a move that really cannot be prevented unless you can hold it around the outside, which you couldn't do. Kramers makes a very successful move. Biggest mover of the field is Steph Kramers, 7 places gained. And he puts it into 2nd place, which is where he finished in race 1. 2.5 seconds between him and the car up ahead. Carl Dubois will monitor that as best we can, but Carl, on his debut in this series, could well be on his way to a win. But we look back at Steph Kramers here. There's a near line of 5 cars here. Quintal at the head of them, or at the tail of them, should I say, trying to get past those BMWs up ahead. He was quite fortunate to avoid all the drama at the end. He was nearly caught in the middle of it, and I think he was caught a little bit by it, but just about got away with it. Another retirement in the race, unfortunately, was Carl Smith. He was looking good. He was in 11th place at one point, but he retires from this race. Elliott House all over the back of Jeff Perkis, and Quintal can't quite yet find the move on these two. House looks to the outside. He's challenging quite closely. Oh, and he runs wide. That's going to give him a slowdown penalty. Quintal ducks under and makes the move through turn 5, but can he complete it heading into turn 6? Perkis moves to the outside. House is back through. He's able to hang on to it. Oh, and a little bit of contact between him and Quintal there, but House keeps it in 5th place. Defending really well as attacking as much as he can is Elliott House. This is why he does sim racing. He's told me he just loves to battle with other drivers. He doesn't really go for wins. He just enjoys good hard battling with other drivers. He's getting it here with 2 almost Goliaths of Crest Autosport racing at the moment. Jeff Perkis, he's won many races in Crest Autosport and Next Gen Racing, and Quintal, who is actually on his way right now to winning the championship. He's looking to stamp his name in that Hall of Fame of Crest Autosport, which is peppered with about 50 drivers who have won championships over the years in all sims. He's about to put his name in that list. And here he goes for a move heading into turn 1, but Elliott House is looking to the outside of Jeff Perkis here. Can he hold it? And he'll have the inside going into turn 2. What a move from Elliott House. He moves it into 4th place, but trying to hang it around the outside is Jeff Perkis. He can't quite get it. He did challenge the apex there with Quintal, and he stays ahead. He's trying the inside of Elliott House as we head into turn number 4. Quintal can't find a way past these two drivers, and House stays in front later on the brakes, and Perkis could not get it past. Wide again goes Elliott House, and he gets out of shape. Perkis back to the inside, which will be the outside for turn number 6. Quintal can't find a way through here, but then again he's just found the inside of Jeff Perkis, and through he goes into 5th place. Just about managed to find it in the end, but he's dropping away from the drivers up ahead who he was challenging in race 1. He's 7 seconds down, and now he's got to get past Elliott House. Excellent battle from... Oh, here we go. There's the move, and he couldn't quite make it. It was closed off by Elias. You probably could say that Quintal wasn't alongside for long enough for Elliott House to know there was a move there, without looking in the mirrors, of course. But yeah, didn't quite work out. Just to check in at the front, Dubois leads as he heads into his 11th lap. He's over the halfway mark. Kramer's is second and Ward holds on to third out on his own there. And here goes Quintal to the inside. He's got the advantage of power. Has he got the advantage on the brakes? We've seen Elliott House be very late on the brakes, and he is again here. Can he hold it around the outside? As we head into turn 2, he's going to do it again. Is Elliott House. He has the inside for turn number 2, but Quintal holds it around the outside at turn number 2, and the inside for turn number 3. He puts it through, and in front into 4th place, and he'll blast away down the straight here, potentially. He tries to break the slipstream of Elliott House, but he is breaking away. House is much later on the brakes, but not enough to make a move just yet. And Alex Ward has caught up with Carl Dubois. Something's happened to Carl Dubois. He's lost the lead here. Oh, and he's all over the place. He's gone really wide there as well. Kramers has taken the lead. Something's happened to Dubois somewhere on the track, and we haven't seen it. And that's dropped him from the lead. Kramers leads now with 4 seconds clear. Alex Ward looking real close there. And just to check in, Anthony Chevalier, which you can see with the damage there, was involved in the first lap incident. He's now up to 8th place. He's just passed Paul Hans. And Paul Hans has got an opportunity here to take back that battle for 2nd place. I'm not sure if he's going to score enough points to move his way ahead of Ollie Jansen. It might be enough to catch back up with him. So that battle for 2nd is going to go into next week at the Nordschleife, when you could have said, heading out of race 1, it was looking very much in the favour of Ollie Jansen. It will certainly be one for the stewards to look at, that lap 1 incident, because it did cause a big pile-up. So it might be one for the stewards to look at. Carl Dubois dropped off somehow and is now more than 5 seconds down from Steph Kramers. He's now got to defend 2nd place as we got Diego Quintal now looking to challenge for 3rd place. He's caught up with Alex Ward quite quickly, which I wasn't sure he was going to do. With 10 minutes remaining in this race, he's got to work hard to get past Alex Ward now. Now both of these cars, terrible on the brakes, but very good down the straights. So it's going to be a good match between these two. Oh, I think we got another DNF. Fabio Andrade retires from this race. Not entirely sure what's happened to him, but he's out of this race there in 14th position. Quintal getting all sorts of shape loss there, going through turn number 12, I think it is. Turn number 11. And he dropped off a little bit from Alex Ward, and might not be able to catch him by the end of this straight. We've seen that Mustang is flying on this part. Quintal good through this section here, really gained on Alex Ward up ahead, and credit to Elliott House and Jeff Burke is here. They're not giving up. The Opel can't quite catch the Mustang, and Quintal does have to brake a lot earlier, but he managed to sneak his way to the inside. Ward went a bit wide there, and it's allowed Quintal through. So Alex Ward looked later on the brakes, but it looked a bit too late. Through he goes, into 3rd. But his run of wins might well be coming to an end. As Kramers is 7 seconds clear, and that gap has very much stayed around 7 seconds for the last couple of laps. Albeit, Quintal has been battling quite a lot, but he'd have to gain a second per minute in the remainder of this race, which is going to be some going. Now this will become a battle for fourth now. Alex Ward versus Elliott House again, and Jeff Perkis involved in this battle. We've got Ian Deeney lurking as well in the background there in the Mercedes. He's really come to light in this race. Gained a lot of positions. We can see on the delta on the left when it appears. See how many places he's gained from the start, because I think he finished 12th. Yeah, he's gained five places to 7th, so good job from Ian Deeney there. Alex Ward breaks away from the BMWs here. This is the part of the track you could say he's safest on. But we did look how much that BMW gains back up on the Mustang under braking. That is the thing with these cars. They got such different characteristics. House is looking to the inside. He thinks he can be later on the brakes. He is later on the brakes. Oh, and he holds out Ward to the outside there, and he's going to let Jeff Perkis through as well. Brilliant move from Elliott House, who's really putting on a show tonight. And he puts it into 4th place. Ward is dropping here. Can he keep it on the inside? No, he can't. Perkis is through into 5th place. And Ian Deeney's going to be welcomed into this battle as well. Ward's doing everything he can. But Jeff Perkis trying to move on Elliott House there. House just about hangs on to it. But Jeff Perkis has gone back around the outside. He's not going to make it round there, and he made himself a bit vulnerable to Alex Ward, but Ward is not quite close enough to make an extended move into the hairpin. Perkis is desperate to get back past Elliott House. There seems to be a little bit of a rivalry by the looks of it between these drivers. Neither of them wants to lose to one another. And Jeff Perkis will also be conscious that he's lurking on the fringes of that battle for 2nd place in the championship. He has been finishing well clear of Paul Hans in the last few rounds, and Jansen's out of the race. So Perkis might well be in the challenge for 2nd in the championship heading into next week. Certainly has driven well tonight, Jeff Perkis has. It's got to be said. Our leader still is Steph Kramers. We haven't given him a lot of attention tonight. He just sort of snuck through the field earlier on. And he's 4 seconds clear of Carl Dubois at the moment. Carl Dubois is having a real good couple of laps here. He's stretched away a little bit from Diogo Quintal. Quintal is in that point of the race where he does struggle on the tyres. The Opel, anyway, struggles on the tyres. As Paul Hans has taken a spin, he's hit the tyre wall, and he's lost a lot of bodywork from that BMW there. As Portugal's trying to avoid running into the back of him, recovering there. Oh, and Hans has got no aerodynamics on the front there. That's really going to make him struggle now for the rest of the race. He's going to drop more places. This is music to the ears of Ollie Jansen and Jeff Perkis. Perkis, who's looking to challenge for 2nd in the championship as we head towards the Nordschleife. A track that he loves, however. It's going to be interesting next week, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in to Crest Autosport TV. Give us a subscribe and hit the notifications bell. You'll find out when we're live next week for that final round of the championship, the conclusion of the championship. But one thing that will be concluded tonight, as it stands with 4 minutes to go, Diogo Quintal will be our champion at the end of tonight, as things stand. Been a little bit of a worrying race for him, this one has, because I said it needs to be a DNF for him and Jansen to get a good result in this one, and actually it's turned out to be the opposite tonight in this race. Anthony Chaval-Urso has recovered from falling well down in the order earlier on as Alex Ward goes off the track. Oh, hang on, that might be a puncture. That might be a puncture. I think it might be. Yeah, it is. It's a puncture for Alex Ward. Something's happened to him there. He might have hit a curb too hard and it's given him a puncture, but he's going to have to limp it to the pits. When will the luck come back for Alex Ward in these second races? He's struggling to turn it into the corners here. He's got to bring it to the pits. He's got to use his pit commands to order a pit stop as well, which on race room is not easy. Let that be known, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he's going to be gutted here, is Alex Ward. He's dropping like a fly from these drivers up ahead. And it's going to promote other drivers behind him up a position. We look back towards here. We'll keep an eye on Alex Ward to see if he succeeds from the pits to finish the race. But Anthony Chevalier is gaining on Jeff Perkins here, who's dropped off from Elliott House. House has stretched away from Perkins here. To the inside goes Chevalier, so much later on the brakes. And he'll put it into 5th place. Brilliant recovery from Chevalier tonight in race 2 here, from the back to the 5th place. Nikolai Mikov makes a move here on Rodrigo Portugal. He was also caught up in that lap 1 instant, has now recovered to 8th position. Oh, as he takes a half spin there, and back through goes Rodrigo Portugal into 8th place. The man who ran out of fuel in the previous race. He started in 16th, remember, and he's gained his way up to 8th. So a good race here from Portugal. Alex Ward is in the pits on the jacks, and he will be taking on fresh tyres. Hopefully not too much fuel, because that's the trick that sometimes race room plays on you. It gives you more fuel than you want. Two minutes to go, and we have got to decide. Well, I say the royal we. It's me who decides the driver of the day. Normally we hand it over to public votes, but I've been doing them a lot lately, just because, well, it's been quite obvious a lot of the drivers of the day lately, and I think there is one driver besides the usual of Diogo Quintel who drives really well week in, week out. I tend not to give it to drivers too much. I tend not to give it to drivers back to back. Last week's driver of the day was Anthony Chevalier, but I'd say this week it's got to go to Mr. Entertainment by there. Elliott House has driven superb tonight, in my opinion. From 16th on the grid in race 1 to finishing in 9th place in race 1 to get into the reverse grid. On the front row, battling it out with these drivers at the top, really holding off Quintal and other drivers for such a long time. He has been a brilliant, brilliant driver to watch tonight, and he gets my Driver of the Day award tonight. This may or may not be the final lap of the race here, but Kramer's heading towards the line, and Carl Dubois has really gained on him in these last few laps. So if something happened to Dubois about 10 minutes ago, and it's cost him. Oh, he might have been that corner there. He's really struggled through turns 6 today, 6 and 7 today. But you've got to think if it was a mistake or anything like that, he might have been in contention for the win here. He was in contention for the win here. And I think it is going to be the final lap here. We've got less than 20 seconds to go, and we've still got a few corners to go. Kramer's is going to be, presumably, our winner of this race here. He's already won a race this season. He won race number 1 at Zolder for round 2 of the championship, and he's going to win race number 2 of round 5 here at Interlagos here. Kept his nose out of trouble, got himself through the pack, maintained his tyres very well until these last few laps, and Kramer's is going to take the win in this second race of the night. Celebrates his win, and Carl Dubois, what a night it's been for him on his debut. Another candidate for Drive of the Day. Fantastic driving from him. And our champion, Diogo Quintal, wins the championship. Season 5 of the World Touring Car Challenge. Our champion in his debut season with Crest Autosport is Diogo Quintal of Emotion Virtual Spirit Racing. Congratulations to him. And our driver of the day comes through in 4th position. It's Elliott House. A brilliant, brilliant display from him tonight. A good recovery also from Anthony Chevalier, to get himself from the back to 5th place after the lap 1 shenanigans. And Jeff Perkins, who's already reverted to the pits, he's had a good night tonight as well. And I think he has put himself back into 2nd in the championship contention for next week's round at the Nordschleife. But there's our champion tonight. With 1 round to spare, Diogo Quintal takes it. Provisional anyway, providing no penalties come his way. But he's taken this championship by what we've seen today. And our race winner tonight, doing donuts out on the track just to make his tyres worse than they already were, Steph Kramers. What a night of racing we've had. We've had real good battles. But the stream's not going to end just yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have the reveal of next season's calendar very shortly. And there's our results tonight of race 2. Kramers takes fastest lap again, like what he did in race 1. And he takes the win here. So an almost perfect night for Kramers, apart from not taking the win in race 1 and not taking pole position. But nearly perfect. Dubois on his debut takes a podium here in 2nd place. He'd be very pleased with that. With Quintal, our champion, taking 3rd place. House, our driver of the day, 4th position for him, with Anthony Chavalerso in 5th. Perkis takes 6th from Ian Deeney. A good recovery drive in race 2 for him for 7th place. Nikolai Mikov, a quiet race 2 there, but 8th place for him. And Rodrigo Portugal from 16th on the grid takes 9th. Paul Ann's a tough night for him, takes 10th position. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was round 5 here at Interlagos, and it concludes 5 of 6 rounds of the championship. And as we mentioned, we are heading to the Nordschleife next week, which will be the final round of the championship. The championship is wrapped up, however. Diogo Quintal provisionally has taken the championship. But now there are a lot more battles to be had elsewhere in the championship, particularly 2nd place and potentially 5th place as well. So we have got next season to reveal, and we're going to do that very shortly. We're just going to remind drivers that we are revealing next season. And just a recap of tonight's racing, quite something. I knew Interlagos would deliver. it's quite a good track for touring car racing, even though we only really see it in Formula 1. Okie dokie, right, well, let's get on with it, ladies and gentlemen. So we've had, this is the current season we have been undergoing 6 rounds of DTMs. And we're heading into the final round next week. But next season, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading back to World Touring Car Cars, the WTCR category. And this will be, the calendar will be taking on. The dates are actually wrong on that graphic. Oh, I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God, wrong graphic. Right, let me get the actual dates for you. I'll have to read them off the screen for you. But yeah, round 1 is going to start on the 13th of April. And it will be an 8-round championship. Those are the correct tracks. We'll be doing mostly British tracks. Donington Park starting us off with Brands Hatch coming 2nd. Silverstone will be 3rd. 4th will be Falkenberg. 5th will be Vålerbanen in Norway. And then we'll finish with 3 British tracks that we visited previously, but different layouts. Donington Park GP, Silverstone National, and Brands Hatch GP. Reminder, those are the wrong dates. It's the wrong graphic. I do apologise. That's me being a bit of a div. So, apologies for that. But yeah, why all the British tracks? Well, they are really good tracks to battle on. And when we've done the previous seasons of World Touring Cars, they have been phenomenal tracks to drive on. They are just standalone, real good touring car tracks. And as we're going back to these World Touring Cars, yeah, it will be good to race on those tracks again. And we've picked Falkenberg and Vålerbanen out because when we raced them a few seasons ago, they were pretty decent tracks to race on. But there is another reason why we selected them, and it's kind of what we're going to get to next. This is the format we're going to use for this next season. So we're going to go back to 3 sprint races, following the information on the left there. We've very more often than not, used 2 15-minute sprint races and gone to a 20-minute sprint race to finish off the night. We're going back to that format. It's a format that's worked with us in the past, and that's what touring car racing is all about. It's all about sprint racing. So that's what we're going back to. And of course, there's going to be practice and qualifying before all of those sessions, of course, to add to that. As part of touring car racing, there's going to be reverse grids as well. Race 1 will, of course, be set by qualifying, but the race 2 grid will be a reverse 10, and the race 3 grid will be a reverse 20, mostly because the races are longer. And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the dates on the right are incorrect. That's not the dates we are racing. We're not going back in time. The season, to remind you, is going to start on the 13th of April. So moving on from the format, success ballast, of course. We're going to be adding weight to the cars, or adding weight to the drivers, shall we say. So in qualifying and race 1 for next season, the weight is going to be based on the championship standings. So first in the championship will carry the most weight into each round for qualifying and race 1. The ballast, or success ballast, shall we say, will reset for races 2 and 3. Will be based on the qualifying results of that round. So the person who qualifies first in that round will carry the most ballast into races 2 and 3. And as we mentioned, we are using WTCR cars. We're going to have all the WTCR cars available from the 2018 calendar year to 2022. So 5 different years of WTCR cars to choose from, and I believe there's something like 10 manufacturers to choose from. And as a bonus, we've also put in the Opel Astra from the TC Cup, because it's quite a cool little touring car. But the big change for these cars for heading into this season, it's not just a little cliche touring car league we're hosting here. We are actually reducing the power of the cars heading into next season. We're going to be reducing the power of all the cars by 10%. So that's going to drop it from around about something like 330 brake horsepower-ish to 300 brake horsepower. Why? Well, good question. No, the reason is why is because a lot of national touring car championships tend to have cars at around about 300 brake horsepower. And what we have noticed with these cars of dropping the power by 10% to 90% is that the battling does get a lot closer between these cars when the power is dropped. And also, it actually means the cars are easier to control as well. So it's a lot more suitable for drivers who are not that experienced with either touring cars, not that experienced with front-wheel drive cars, and not even that experienced with race room. It gives beginners a better chance at having a go at these cars and getting to grips with them. So yeah, that's the big change that's going to be happening for next season. It is going to be real good having that 10% reduction because, as I said, it is going to make the racing much closer and much more exciting. We're going to have Teams Championship as well. We haven't really got one in this season of World Touring Cars, but teams are welcome. You can submit teams of 2 drivers or 4 drivers. So we have had that in the past where tag teams almost of 2 drivers, and we've also had big organisations of 4 drivers entering teams in. The one condition, though, is that team drivers must drive the same car. So all drivers in a team, say one drove the Cupra, they all have to drive the Cupra. You must drive the same car and livery, but you can have altering numbers. And of course, privateers are still welcome. And if privateers do want themselves in a team, we can pair you up with other drivers depending on what car you've picked. And servers is the last thing to tick off from this announcement. We will be hosting 24-hour servers again. This is more relevant to drivers who participate in the championship. We will be opening up 24-hour practice servers yet again, but this will only be for subscribed members to Crest Autosport. And there'll be more news on how to become a subscribed member very shortly. But a subscription to Crest Autosport is going to cost you £5 per month. And the advantage of that means you're going to have access to a 24-hour server. And you'll be able to practice for the races with the 10% power reduction with weight applied. Yes, so that's a big benefit to being a paid subscriber of Crest Autosport. So there'll be more news on that at a later date. We haven't quite opened up subscriptions or entries to this championship just yet. And as I said, the dates on the right are wrong. Sincere apologies. I know I've said that a few times. The season's going to start on the 13th of April. And I'll get an updated graphic of this out to Discord and Facebook later on. But yeah, they're the tracks we're going to take on. As I mentioned, Donington Park, Brands Hatch, Silverstone, and we'll repeat those tracks later in the season. Falkenberg and Volabanen will be the middle rounds of the championship. Donington Park, Silverstone, and Brands Hatch to round off the season. And the final rounds of the championship will be at the start of June, the 8th of June. So there we go, guys. That's the announcement for next season. But we have one round left to go this season in this current World Touring Car Challenge Gone Classic, featuring the DTMs. We have a champion crowned, but there's plenty more battles to be won across the standings heading into next week, which is the Nordschleife. And it is going to be either the VLN or the 24-hour layout of the Nordschleife. That's been round 5 of the championship tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching Crest Autosport TV. We'll see you in a week's time for the final round of the championship. But from us, it's thank you for watching and a congratulations to our champion, Diogo Quintal. Thank you for watching.